further ado, I'm excited. First, I should say I'm Ebony. I'm with the Bates International Group, and we have Muhammad on here. Muhammad, you want to say hello to everyone?
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so we have Ms. Tikisha Wilson with DCHFA, which is the DC Housing Finance Agency. We're really, really excited to have her. Tikisha, I'm not going to take up any of your time. Do you want to just go ahead and jump in and tell folks who you are, what it is that you do, and how we can leverage some of the programs either as realtors and as consumers?
Sure. So like Ebony stated, my name is Tikisha Wilson. I am the Director of Single Family at DC Housing Finance Agency. I actually hail from Tennessee. I just moved up this way last year from Tennessee. So I actually oversee the operational aspects of the single family lending division. We have our flagship program, which is DC Open Doors, which is our down payment assistance. You can couple it, it's a first trust and down payment assistance, or you can do a standalone first trust. We do offer 3% and 3.5% with that program. It is 0%, it is 0% non-amortizing for the down payment assistance portion of it. You can do HFA Advantage or HFA Preferred, Fannie or Freddie. And then we also have our DC for Me, which is a discounted rate first mortgage, or you can couple it with down payment assistance at 3%, and it's for DC government employees, or if you work for instrumentality within DC government. So that will encompass like your DC public schools, your DC courts, and things of that nature. We have a website, dchfa.org, that actually outlines all of the facilities that are eligible to access DC for Me. If you have questions regarding if your borrower is eligible for the program. And then, of course, we are one of two co-administrators for the district's HPAP program. And of course, that is probably a 30-year-old program that is pretty hot and heavy right now within the district. Give down payment assistance up to $202,000 with an additional $4,000 for closing costs. We do close loans in unison with the Greater Washington Urban League. The Greater Washington Urban League actually facilitates the combo loans as well as EHAP or NEHAP standalones. We at DCHFA only handle HPAP only. If you have a borrower that is purchasing a co-op unit, regardless if they utilize EHAP or NEHAP, even if they just do HPAP only, all co-op loans will be sent to Greater Washington Urban League. There was a huge change this year for HPAP, which just started around the second week of October for the new fiscal year 2024, where the HPAP loan can no longer supersede or be in excess of the first trust loan amount. HPAP can only go up to 30% loan to value. So the district has decided, or DHCD has decided, that for those persons who are under the 50% MFI threshold, they will consider going up to 50% loan to value, and they will approve those exceptions on a case-by-case basis. So that's pretty it in a nutshell as far as all three of the programs. So, of course, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Well, you kind of buzzed through that pretty quickly.
I do. So I have a little spiel.
Yeah, so I have the printout, so this little chart, You know, where it says, you know, 51 to 80% of the median income, median family income, or, you know, up to 50% in some cases. Have any of those things changed, or is that all up to date? Are these
They
charts
should
up to
be
date?
up to date as long as you have the one where at the top it says August 2023. That was the latest chart that came out. So as long
August
as you have that
2023.
one, yes. But if for some reason, if anyone that's listening or viewing this does not have the latest chart, it can be found on DHCD's website.
Okay. So let's say, you know, just taking us through like HPAP. I'm a first time home buyer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you know, what are my first steps? If I want to use one of these programs, what are my first steps?
Okay, sure. So if you decide that you are interested and you just want to see if you qualify, the first step is to reach out to a CBO, which is a community-based organization within the district. There's, I think, about six. Don't hold my feet to the fire on this. I'm just kind of freestyling, but the CBOs are Lydia's House, ULS, Manna, Marshall Heights, Housing Counseling Services, and LEDC are the CBOs. So you will reach out to one of the CBOs, make an appointment so they can collect some information from you and send that to one of the administrators. It is a 6-page application that you will fill out with the CBO. You will give them things like your paycheck stubs, bank statements, things of that nature, so they can do a full analysis and work it up and send it over to the correct facilitator for the district. So after that, they will send it over to either DCHFA or GWL to do a loosely based underwrite, which is pretty much a just verification of everything and just to make sure that you qualify. And if you do, then you will be issued a NOE, which is a notice of eligibility. That notice of eligibility will outline the amount that you qualify for. It will outline the persons in the home that you had listed on your application, because it does determine, it is tiered. So it depends, it goes off of income coupled with household size to determine your eligibility threshold. And once you do that, you take your notice of eligibility, you go back to your CBO and you complete the mandatory 8-hour class that you have to have in order to move forward in the HPAP process. After that, you reach out to your lender, get with your realtor. So both your realtor and your lender can work together. They can determine, how much you qualify for. And then you're off to the races as far as finding a home.
And before I pepper you with questions, I want to just, take a pause for a second, because, it's sort of a, nebulous system that, it's not the easiest to understand. Now, if there is any question out there, based on what Tikisha has gone over so far. Okay. So one of the questions that I had, is, as a realtor, how could I establish a relationship with one of the CBOs, or how soon, if a buyer is sort of in the beginning process, when should they contact, the CBO?
The CBO should actually be their first contact, because the CBO is the first touch point to get the information just to see if you are eligible.
So, but I guess to put it another way, is it too soon? Is it ever too soon for them to reach out? Because it seems like, if a person is a little bit unsure if they qualify or whatever, a lot of the times people are, waiting until they feel pretty good about, their financial situation to reach out. It seems like what you're saying is you should reach out right away, see where you are with things, and then determine, how to get through the program versus waiting.
That's correct. So I would reach out, even if you're on the fence, knowing whether or not you do qualify. And I say that because the CBOs have licensed counselors, and they are there to help you through the process. Even if you're not ready, maybe your credit score is too low, and there's some counseling that they can give you in order to get you to that starting point. So the CBO would be the first touch point. So I would encourage borrowers, even if they are on the fence, if they think they don't qualify, I would talk to a CBO so they can do a full analysis and look at it, look at all the numbers and determine, if you are ready to move forward, you can go that route. But if you're not, then they can coach you and counsel you through how to get to the point to where you are ready.
Okay. And as a realtor, is there a way that we could maybe link with you, or is there a resource where we can have perhaps, some of the contacts, some of the, CBOs that, we can just reach out to, that we're on a, short line of communication with, so we can help our buyers?
I will speak to our process. I don't really know that the CBOs have a direct line to the realtors as far as that partnership is concerned, or what processes they have in place with their realtor partners. However, we do have every first Wednesday of the month, we do have a home buyer session, and we make sure to have a different realtor and a different lender help teach that class every month, so that those realtors and those lenders can, they can gain access to potential buyers, actually, to help them and coach them through the process. Those classes are on pause for the rest of the year. However, we do anticipate them starting back up in January. So if you do want to get on a list that we send out, if you do want to facilitate some of those classes so you can be one of the touch points to some potential borrowers, just let me know and I can add you to the list.
Okay, thank you for that. Definitely. I think it makes sense to, really link ourselves, especially, the market is slowing down. There's an opportunity for these programs where there wasn't, in the years past. So I think that, now is a great time to make sure that we have those relationships established. Whenever I was looking at, the home buyer assistance, is a one pager that you guys have for the HPAP program. Some of the eligibility, I just kind of wanted to clarify, because it is a popular program, and I just, there are a lot of people who want to use it but don't know if it's going to work for them. One of the qualifications says that, you have to have lived in the district for a cumulative of about 3 years, if I'm not mistaken. And how do you count that, for example? Because I know that there are people who maybe live in DC for 6 months of the year and then, live somewhere else for, the other part of the year. How do you count those years?
So I will say that DHCD has realized that with the times and changes, that some people may have to live with other relatives due to hardships, and then they may move back. So as long as current residency is established, and when we see your paycheck stubs, we look to see if you are paying DC taxes. We look at your tax returns as well to see if you have filed taxes and your primary residence on your taxes is a DC residence. When we pull credit, or when we have the credit pulled and sent to us, we look at the addresses on your credit report to see if there's any variances. And then it may be as simple as sending in a letter of explanation. And the lenders are pretty aware and pretty knowledgeable of what it takes in order to get across the finish line. I see one lender on here that I'm very familiar with. Hey, Matt, it's good to see you on here.
You too, Tikisha. I'm still learning things new with you. You teach me something every day. Love it.
I actually had correspondence with Matt earlier, so
That's right.
good lender. Good lender.
So Matt, I know you're actually closing, a couple or have recently. How has your experience been? I know that funding ran out for HPAP and then, got reestablished, but what's your experience been as far as timelines too?
Yeah, that was definitely a challenge this year, for sure. But Tikisha and her team did an incredible job communicating with us with the information that they had, and we, just relayed that to the buyers especially, but certainly the agents on both sides. And kind of to your point earlier with how the market is right now, I had several people that were kind of left stranded that the sellers were willing to wait. They stuck it out with them, and one just closed on Monday that she, just missed the deadline back in June or July. Seller stuck with her and she got the home that she wanted. So it's all about communication, knowing who's behind the scenes like Tikisha and they do a great job of communicating with the information they have at the time they have it.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah.
Wise.
It truly is an incredible program to help people that need the help to get into a home and keep the good people in DC that we want to keep in DC. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of red tape that we got to get around with it being government money. So we navigate those challenges, but that's what when the money ran out, that was my overwhelming sentiment was, tough situation, but it's an incredible program that is worth the wait. And so far it has been this month. So
I agree.
So there's I've heard it many times before, and, just correct me if I'm, wrong here. A lot of people are under the impression that, they have to have a lot of money put aside in order to purchase a home. And this program, if I'm looking at it correctly, it actually works a little better, if you don't have a lot of money saved, because I'm reading right here, HPAP applicants contribute 500 or 50% of liquid assets greater than 3,000, whichever is greater. So if I'm a person who, maybe doesn't have a lot of money, but has saved over years and years and years to get there, I've actually shot myself in the foot. And I know I'm speaking frankly, but, isn't that kind of true, Tikisha?
It's twofold. It is. It's twofold. And of course, they're looking at it as, and they're being DACD, they want you to have some skin in the game. They feel like, we're putting up a large chunk of money to help you, but we want to know that you are willing to help yourself as well. And like with anything, if you are invested in it, you're going to take care of it. You're going to make sure you're not foreclosed on. If you have something that messes up, you're going to try to move forward and fix it. There's, post-closing, there's things that happen, and so that's one reason why they don't want to take all of the assets. But then again, they do want to feel like that you have some skin in the game. But then on the flip side, it is good for those borrowers who they think that they will never be homeowners because, they may be in a situation to where they're just not able to save. They're just not able to. Everyone's situation is different. And that's when, compassion comes into place. And so, those borrowers, this is a godsend. All they have to do is put in $500 towards the purchase of the home. and then the, DHCD or HPAP will handle the rest, so, and that's why I say it's twofold. It's twofold to that. But I will say another caveat to that. I'm glad you brought this up, because I do want to state that because you have, done good and saved, don't move forward and try to take that money out and circumvent the process, because that will prolong it as well. We have good underwriters and we will find it. So just be honest, just move forward and be honest. And sometimes it's as simple as a conversation. It really is. It is as simple as a conversation. And I say that because, for example, we had a gentleman who had, because HPAP, and I think everyone knows this, it's based off of household income. So that's income for everyone in the household, regardless of if you're going to be a qualifying person on the loan. And so we had a gentleman in the household who was caring for his elderly mom, and his elderly mom had, and we look at savings for everyone in the household as well, but his elderly mom was saving her Social Security check that she had got every month, because he could handle all the bills. So of course he didn't make her contribute, so she was saving it, and she had, a nice savings. And so he did not want to move forward in purchasing a home, because he didn't want his mother's savings to be depleted. It was as easy as a conversation. And in DC regs for HPAP, there's, waivers for elderly, and he didn't know that. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Now I know.
Oh yeah. That's why I said sometimes it's just as easy as having a conversation. It really
all about
is.
Communication.
That's
Yep.
right.
Yeah, and that's and thank you. I mean, because that's kind of where I get into the weeds too, is that the eligibility is not so clear cut. I mean, we can read what it says online, but it really is important to have a line of communication with DCHFA so that we can make sure that we're communicating the right information. For example, this is, it says that it's open to non-residents, who have lived in the district for 3 years. But what you said is, you have to have a current residence in
Yes,
DC.
you do. You have to be a
But
current.
what does that mean, non-resident?
So I think that's more towards EHAP. And that's where I was going with that. I think that's more towards EHAP, because the resident requirement for the district is waived if you are a DC government employee. So you don't have to necessarily live in DC and be able to qualify for, say, EHAP. But for HPAP, you do have to be a district, a Washington, DC resident. You do for HPAP.
Wonderful.
Now, I will say, we do have residents in Virginia and Maryland, of course, that want to move to the district. And yes, they can apply. They will just be waitlisted, because, preference is given to Washingtonians.
Well, there are programs, I think DC for Me. You could say a few words about the DC for Me program, and just run through that a little bit more. That is, if anybody didn't have any questions on the floor, because I think that's a program that applies to a lot of people and they don't know about it. It's not talked about a lot.
I agree. It's not, and it's not utilized a lot, just because a lot of people, they go towards EHAP, but you can actually couple DC for Me. You can couple HPAP with DC for Me. You can couple DC Open Doors with HPAP. So you can layer all of these subsidies. I will say one thing that we do hear a lot of lenders state: they want to use the program, but the interest rates are high right now. They are. That's just the market and the climate that we're in. However, If you do have a borrower that does want to utilize, say, a DPA product for DC for Me or DC Open Doors, and you don't see a rate online, reach out to me directly because we may be able to work something out. Because at the end of the day, the goal is home ownership. And so we both want the same thing, and we want to move forward with helping, potential borrowers. So, like I said, it's always a conversation.
The DC Open Doors rates look pretty good today.
They did, didn't they? Thank you.
Haven't seen that in a while. I gotta run. I gotta hop off in a second. I got 202, so I gotta go help my my mom wrangle the little ones up. But I just want to leave you guys with one thing from my side. The kind of sentiment that I leave people with that are excited about HPAP is, someone that makes $60,000, single family or single mom that needs help, maybe pre-qualifies with me for 250, can't really find anything. That's where HPAP comes in and helps. They get $100,000 or $150,000 from HPAP. Now they can look in the 350, 400 range, but the payment is still as if it's a $250,000 home, because there's at least for the first 5 years, there's no payment for HPAP. So it truly is worth the wait for a lot of people, and getting started with the CBO is definitely the first step, and where I direct people when I speak to them initially.
Agreed.
Hey, Matt, before you jump off, we like to, on the roundtable, promote other people's businesses to the degree that we can. Why don't you leave folks with your information so they can get a hold of you if they need to get a loan? Absolutely.
It's Matt with First Home Mortgage. I've been doing this 9 years. I work a lot with Tikisha and HPAP and DC Open Doors. We have some in-house 100% financing products as well. We really try to be at the forefront of affordable lending, kind of in our name, First Home Mortgage. We try to really advocate for those first-time home buyers. My cell phone number is 610-324-5488. Despite that area code, I'm originally from Philly, have kept it forever, but I'm local in DC, live just outside of DC. My office is in Chevy Chase. And my email address is M as in Matt Borgerson, BORGERSON at First Home, spelled out FIRSTHOME.com.
Hey, and just a little plug for Matt. I've worked with Matt in the past. If you want to get it done, go with Matt. Like, he will get it done for you.
Thanks, guys.
Man, awesome. Well, I appreciate you joining us. And, we only have a few minutes left. So, Tikisha, I want to give you that same opportunity to leave us with your information, and so folks can get a hold of you if they need to.
Sure. So what I will do is, of course, my name is Tikisha Wilson again. I will give you our team's email, because if you reach out to me, yes, I will get back to you. But a lot of the times it'll be towards the end of the day when I have some time, and if it's something that's urgent or that you need a response on, we have a team. We have a great team of underwriters, senior processors, closing staff, our SVP, Wendy Redfern. So we collaboratively, we can get the questions answered. But that email address is singlefamilyprograms@DCHFA.org, and it is monitored all day.
Amazing. Thank you, Tikisha. And, just, another plug for DCHFA. It's such a wonderful organization. And, I know you guys did a sort of like a tour of some homes that were affordable. And, so again, another reason why, even if you're a realtor, it still makes sense to link yourself in and make yourself a resource, because, not only are you going to help your clients, but you're just going to make the whole city better. and allow people who really want to be here, stay here, and, you know, do it in a way that makes sense even for generations to come. And the other takeaway obviously is it's never too early and it's never too late. Now is the right time to get a hold of somebody who is in this circle, who is willing to help you. So I really appreciate you dropping by today, Tikisha, and, you know, it's so meaningful. This is going to be recorded. We'll go ahead and get your information up there, so that folks can reach out. And we're at 6:30, so I'm going to let folks go, but I just want to make sure, are there any other questions or are there any comments on the floor before we go for the month? No? Okay, hearing none, then this roundtable is adjourned. We'll see you next month. Same link at 6 o'clock. Thank you, and have a great rest of the evening.
You do the same.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.